Many INFJs grow up wondering why they feel alone, even when they are surrounded by people. They watch others form friendships easily, while they struggle to find anyone who truly understands them. On the outside, an INFJ looks calm, friendly, and thoughtful. They listen well, they care deeply, and they notice things others miss. But inside, they often carry a quiet feeling that they have nobody. This feeling is not about being dramatic or negative. It comes from a deeper place, shaped by how INFJs think, feel, and move through the world. INFJs are wired to look beneath the surface. They sense meaning in tiny moments, and they connect emotionally in ways other people often do not understand. They want honesty, depth, and stability in relationships. They want to feel seen and safe, but most social environments are not built for this level of connection. People rely on small talk, quick interactions, and casual friendships. For the INFJ, these interactions feel shallow and draining. This difference creates a gap between them and the world around them. From a young age, INFJs often feel like observers instead of participants. They watch how people behave, but they rarely feel connected to the group. They may talk and laugh with others, but inside they feel separate. They begin to believe that something is wrong with them. They try to be more outgoing or more social, but it never feels natural. The more they try to push themselves, the more they feel isolated. This feeling of having nobody does not come from a lack of value. It comes from the INFJ's need for connection that actually means something. They cannot bond over surface-level exchanges. They cannot pretend to be interested in things that feel empty. And they cannot share the deeper parts of themselves with people who do not show emotional safety. This video explores the real reasons why INFJs often feel they have nobody, and why these reasons are not flaws, but patterns. These patterns shape the INFJ experience in ways that many people do not notice. Once you understand them, you can see why INFJs end up alone more often than they want, even when their heart is full of care and hope for real connection. Reason number 1. Expectation for profound connection. INFJs naturally look for meaningful relationships. They want emotional honesty, trust, and depth. They want to know a person beyond surface behavior. They want to understand someone's values, beliefs, fears, and hopes. While most people start friendships with casual interaction, INFJs start by searching for something real. This expectation for a profound connection shapes everything they do in relationships. When talking to someone, an INFJ listens closely. They watch tone, expression, and body language. They notice what the person avoids saying. They sense emotional truth long before others do. Because of this, small talk feels empty to them. They get bored or tired when conversations never touch anything meaningful. For many people, small talk is comfortable and harmless. For INFJs, it feels like a block between them and the connection they want. This expectation for depth makes INFJs very selective. They may talk to many people, but they open up to very few. They wait to see if someone is genuine. They observe how the person behaves when nobody is watching. They watch how they treat others, how honest they are, and whether they show emotional awareness. Only when these signs feel right does the INFJ start building a real friendship. Younger INFJs often wonder why friendships form so slowly for them. They see others bonding easily while they remain on the outside. They assume they are the problem. They think they are too quiet, too private, or too strange. But the truth is that most people are not looking for the kind of connection INFJs crave. People may enjoy social interaction, but they do not always share the INFJ's desire for emotional depth. This mismatch leaves INFJs waiting for people who can meet them where they naturally exist. Another challenge is that INFJs do not just want connection, they want consistency. They want loyalty, honesty, and long-term trust. They do not enjoy friendships built on convenience. They want relationships that feel like home. Because few people offer this level of commitment, INFJs end up with fewer friends. Not because they cannot make friends, but because they refuse to settle for connections that feel hollow. Their expectations are not unrealistic. They simply reflect how INFJs experience the world. When an INFJ finally finds someone who offers honesty, empathy, and emotional depth, they form a powerful bond. But until that person appears, the INFJ often feels alone because they cannot build a deep connection with just anyone. This need for profound connection is not a weakness. It is a strength. It protects the INFJ from shallow relationships that would drain them, but it also means they must wait longer to find the people who match their heart and mind. Reason number 2, rich inner world. That doesn't always translate. INFJs live in a deep and complex inner world. Their thoughts are layered, reflective, and full of meaning. They think about patterns, possibilities, emotions, and the deeper nature of life. They replay moments, analyze behavior, and imagine different futures. This rich inner world is one of their greatest strengths, but it is also one of the main reasons they end up feeling like they have nobody. From the outside, an INFJ may seem calm and quiet, but inside, there is constant activity. They notice things others overlook. They feel emotions deeply. They imagine ideas that others never consider. They connect separate experiences into a bigger picture. This inner life is fulfilling, but it also creates distance from the people around them. The INFJ may be physically present in a room, but mentally, they are exploring thoughts that nobody else knows about. Because their inner world is so detailed, the INFJ often finds it difficult to bring these thoughts out into the real world. They struggle to put their ideas into simple words. They feel misunderstood when people misinterpret their meaning. They might share a deep idea, only to meet confusion or indifference. Over time, the INFJ learns to keep their inner world private because sharing it rarely feels rewarding. This creates a quiet barrier. The INFJ has rich thoughts, but they stay hidden. They have strong feelings, but they keep them inside. They have insights about people, but they rarely share them unless they feel safe. To others, this looks like emotional distance. People may think the INFJ is closed off or hard to read. They may assume the INFJ does not want connection. But the truth is that INFJs want connection. They just do not know how to express all that exists in their mind. Another challenge is that the inner world becomes a place of comfort. When the outside world feels shallow, confusing, or exhausting, the INFJ retreats inward. They spend hours thinking, writing, imagining, or reflecting. This solitude feels natural and peaceful. But if they spend too much time inside their mind, they stop reaching out to others. They become distant without meaning to. They forget that friendships need presence, not just quiet reflection. This internal richness also makes the INFJ feel separate from others. They notice that the people around them do not think or feel in the same way. They might try to share something meaningful, only to receive a surface-level response. They might try to connect emotionally, only to be met with confusion. This mismatch reinforces the belief that nobody understands them. The INFJ's inner world is a gift, but it can also become a silent prison. It holds beauty, wisdom, and emotional depth, but it also makes them feel alone when others cannot match the level of thought and insight they carry within themselves. Reason number 3, one-sided emotional investment. INFJs often give more emotionally than they receive. They listen deep in, offer comfort, and understand emotions that others struggle to explain. They try to help people grow, heal, and feel supported. This emotional generosity is one of their strongest traits, but it is also one of the main reasons they end up feeling like they have nobody. Their level of emotional investment is rare, and because of that, it is often unmatched. When an INFJ becomes close to someone, they give their full attention. They remember small details, understand unspoken feelings, and offer support before the other person even knows they need it. People often describe INFJs as calming and comforting, but many people become used to receiving this emotional energy without giving much back. They rely on the INFJ to hold the emotional weight of the relationship, and the INFJ accepts this role because they want to help. Younger INFJs do this without realizing the cost. They believe that giving more is a sign of loyalty and love. They think supporting others will naturally lead to a healthy bond. But many people take this kindness for granted. They enjoy the INFJ's depth and insight, but they do not offer the same level of care in return. The INFJ ends up carrying the emotional load, while the other person relaxes, unaware of the imbalance. Over time, this imbalance drains the INFJ. They begin to feel invisible because their needs are not considered. They begin to feel used because they give more than they receive. They begin to feel lonely even inside relationships. Instead of expressing their frustration, they stay quiet. They do not want to hurt anyone or start conflict. They hope the other person will notice the imbalance on their own, but this rarely happens. Eventually, the INFJ reaches a quiet breaking point. They withdraw suddenly, often without explaining why. They distance themselves emotionally because they feel empty. To the other person, this distance may seem surprising or confusing. But to the INFJ, it is the only way to stop feeling drained. When they pull away, they often end up alone, not because they wanted to leave, but because they were exhausted from carrying the relationship alone. This pattern repeats throughout their life if they do not learn to set boundaries. An INFJ must learn that healthy friendships require equal effort. They must understand that their needs matter just as much as the needs of others. When they find someone who gives back, who listens, and who respects their emotional depth, the INFJ finally feels seen. But until then, they often walk away from friendships feeling like they have nobody because the relationship was never balanced in the first place. Reason number 4, fear of being misunderstood or hiding true self. NFJs. As fear being misunderstood more than almost anything else. Their thoughts are complex, their emotions run deep, and their intentions are often layered. They sense when people misread them or assume the wrong things about them. This fear of being misunderstood makes the INFJ hide important parts of themselves. They stay quiet even when they want to speak. They hold back even when they want to connect. Over time, this silence creates distance between them and the people around them. From a young age, INFJs learn that not everyone understands their mind. They make a deep comment, and others think they are being strange. They express a strong feeling, and people say they are too sensitive. They share an intuition, and people dismiss it as overthinking. These small reactions teach the INFJ to protect their inner world. Instead of opening up, they hide the parts of themselves that feel too vulnerable. They begin to show only what they think is acceptable. They smile, even when they feel hurt. They stay calm, even when they are overwhelmed. They pretend they are fine, even when they are exhausted. They show the gentle, balanced version of themselves, while the rest stays hidden. People see a polite, caring person, but they never see the layers underneath. Because of this, the INFJ feels unseen and unknown. This holding back makes friendships hard to build. When you do not show your true self, people cannot connect with you on a deeper level. They connect only with the surface. The INFJ might feel lonely, but they also fear opening up because they do not want to be judged or misunderstood again. This creates a cycle. They want connection, but they hide their real thoughts and feelings, which prevents real connection from forming. Another part of this fear is the INFJ's awareness of how different they are. They notice that their ideas, emotions, and values do not always match the group. Instead of explaining this difference, they choose silence. They would rather be quiet than risk rejection. But that silence makes others think the INFJ is distant or uninterested. People stop trying to get closer because they assume the INFJ prefers to be alone. As they get older, INFJs realize that hiding their true self protects them, but it also isolates them. They cannot build strong relationships without vulnerability. They cannot form real bonds if they never show who they are. The fear of being misunderstood keeps them alone, even when they long for connection. INFJs need people who can handle their depth, empathy, and introspection. But those people cannot find them if the INFJ keeps everything locked inside. Until they learn to share their true self with the right people, they continue to feel like they have nobody, simply because nobody ever gets the chance to know who they really are. Reason number 5, underrepresentation and feeling like an outsider. INFJs are one of the rarest personality types. Because of this rarity, they often feel like they do not fit into the world around them. Their way of thinking, feeling, and understanding life is uncommon. They value depth, honesty, empathy, and meaning in a world that often values speed, convenience, and surface-level interaction. This difference makes them feel like outsiders, even in groups where they try their best to belong. From a young age, INFJs sense that they are not like most people. They may enjoy quiet activities, while others prefer loud environments. They may think about purpose, while others focus on popularity. They may seek emotional truth while others avoid deep topics. These differences create subtle gaps between the INFJ and the people around them. Even when they try to fit in, something always feels off. Because INFJs are rare, the chances of meeting someone who thinks the same way are small. Most people do not understand the INFJ's depth. They do not share their emotional intensity or sense of meaning. They do not communicate on the same wavelength. Conversations feel mismatched. Values feel different. Priorities do not line up. This mismatch creates loneliness, even when the INFJ is not physically alone. The INFJ also notices things others miss. They see patterns in behavior, feelings behind words, and motives behind actions. While this awareness helps them understand people, it also makes them feel disconnected. They might sense tension others ignore. They might want to address something meaningful, while everyone else avoids it. They might feel strongly about something others brush off. These differences make the INFJ feel even more separate. This sense of being different becomes stronger over time. When the INFJ tries to express their inner world, people may misunderstand or dismiss it. When the INFJ tries to build deeper connections, people may prefer casual friendship. When the INFJ tries to open up, others may see it as unusual. After a while, the INFJ stops trying because they believe nobody will understand them anyway. The feeling of being an outsider leads to emotional distance. The INFJ may sit quietly in groups, listening instead of speaking. They may avoid social events because they know the connection will not feel meaningful. They may keep their true self hidden because they assume others will not relate. This isolation reinforces the idea that they have nobody. But the real issue is not that the INFJ is unlikable or difficult. The issue is that their personality is rare, and most people simply do not match their depth or worldview. It takes time and patience to find people who understand them. When they finally meet someone who shares their emotional and intellectual wavelength, the INFJ forms a deep, lasting connection. Until then, they often feel alone because genuine matches are so uncommon. Reason number 6, self-isolation as a defense mechanism. INFJs often end up alone because they use isolation to protect themselves from emotional pain. This pattern usually begins early in life when they first experience rejection, misunderstanding, or disappointment. Instead of reacting outwardly, the INFJ takes the hurt inward. They quietly pull back, thinking distance will keep them safe. Over time, this becomes a habit that shapes how they handle relationships. When an INFJ feels overwhelmed or misunderstood, they retreat. They go silent because they need to regain emotional balance. They avoid conversations that feel draining. They cancel plans when they feel too exposed. They hide their struggles to avoid judgment. They create space so they can breathe. To the INFJ, this feels like the only way to stay grounded. But to others, it looks like avoidance or disinterest. The INFJ's ability to read emotions makes this pattern stronger. They can sense when someone is losing interest, when someone is judging them, or when someone is not being truthful. Even small signs can feel large to them. If they pick up even a hint of rejection or distance, they withdraw before things get worse. They would rather remove themselves early than experience deeper hurt later. Younger INFJs often think isolation is the safest choice. They believe that if they keep people at a distance, they cannot be abandoned. If they hide their true feelings, nobody can use them against them. If they stay in their inner world, they will not have to explain themselves to people who do not understand them. This mindset feels protective, but it also keeps them from forming close relationships. The problem is that isolation becomes a cycle. The INFJ withdraws to feel safe, but the withdrawal causes people to stop reaching out. When people stop reaching out, the INFJ feels even more alone. Instead of breaking the pattern, they withdraw further, convinced that nobody truly wants them. The longer this continues, the more difficult it becomes for them to reconnect with others. Another part of this cycle is the INFJ's difficulty asking for help. They do not want to appear needy or burdensome. They try to solve everything on their own, even when they are emotionally exhausted. They wait for someone to notice their pain, but most people cannot read them the way the INFJ reads others. When nobody steps forward, the INFJ assumes that nobody cares, which reinforces their isolation. With time, some INFJs realize that isolation may protect them from pain, but it also prevents them from receiving support, love, and understanding. They learn that not everyone will reject them. They learn that some people can handle their depth. They learn that sharing their true self with the right people brings connection instead of hurt. Isolation is not a flaw. It is a reaction to feeling misunderstood in a world that often values surface over depth. But if it becomes the only way the INFJ handles emotions, it leads to loneliness that feels impossible to escape. To break free, INFJs must learn to take small risks with people who show trustworthiness and care. The reasons INFJs feel like they have nobody are deeply tied to their unique nature. They want connection that is honest and meaningful. They live with a rich inner world that few people understand. They give emotionally until they are drained. They hide their true self to avoid judgment. They feel like outsiders because of how rare their personality is. And when they are hurt, they isolate themselves to stay safe. None of these reasons mean the INFJ is meant to be alone. They simply show how the INFJ moves through life with a sensitive mind and a deep heart. Once they understand their own patterns, they can build healthier connections with people who appreciate their depth instead of being confused by it. They can set boundaries, express their feelings more openly, and share their inner world with those who can respect it. Being an INFJ does not mean having nobody. It means taking time to find the right people. It means valuing quality over quantity. It means forming friendships that feel real instead of settling for connections that drain them. Once the INFJ finds the right matches, their relationships become some of the most meaningful bonds anyone can experience.